Just 3 third basemen in the history of baseball had more hits than Brooks Robinson, 28-48. They, of course, keep track of that. What they don't keep track of is how many hits Brooks Robinson took away, because if they did, he'd be in a class all by himself. Robinson died Tuesday at the age of 86. Cause of death has not been released. His career spanned 23 years, all of them in Baltimore, 2 more than Cal Ripken. And though he retired in 1977, Robinson still holds the major league record for putouts and assists and double plays at third base, and none of those categories are particularly close. Tim Kirksham with more on a Baltimore icon.
Throughout my career, I was committed to the goodness of this game. I feel my love for the game of baseball overrode everything else. I keep asking myself, how could any one man have been so fortunate?
Brooks Robinson was one of the greatest third basemen of all time and statistically the best third baseman ever. Robinson was a second baseman when the Orioles signed him out of Little Rock, Arkansas, but he was soon converted to third base. He played his entire 23-year career in Baltimore, where he won 2 World Championships, made 15 All-Star teams, and won the American League MVP in 1964. Robinson was never the fastest, strongest, or best athlete on the field, but no one worked harder.
Brooks Robinson never could run. I hit more double plays than almost anyone in the history of the game. I had a very average arm, but I sincerely believe that the reason that I succeeded and did as well as I did was because baseball was a passion to the point of obsession. I mean, that was my life.
Robinson perfected the barehanded bunt play and won 16 Gold Gloves at third base. Only pitcher Greg Maddux with 18 won more at any position. Robinson was also one of the best clutch hitters of his time, amassing 2,848 hits, 268 home runs, and 1,357 RBIs. He was at his best in the biggest games. He won the MVP of the 1970 World Series against the Reds by hitting .429 with 2 homers, and arguably had the greatest defensive performance in World Series history.
Nobody is going to show me plays at third base that will equal what Brooks Robinson did in that series.
Gosh, he was so good. Knowing Brooks Robinson as I've known him over the years, he's one of the finest gentlemen to ever wear a uniform and to represent baseball.
Robinson retired after the 1977 season. He was elected into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot in 1983. In 1999, he was named to baseball's All-Century team, which honored the best 25 players of the 20th century. No player was more beloved in a town than Brooks Robinson was in Baltimore. At a banquet in the late 1970s, a sports writer said, quote, "In New York, they named a candy bar after Reggie Jackson. Here in Baltimore, we name our children after Brooks Robinson."
Prior to tonight's game, the Orioles remembered Robinson with a moment of silence. Again, no player other than Cal Ripken played more games in an Orioles uniform. Fellow Hall of Famer Jim Palmer, a broadcaster for the Orioles, was emotional pregame, remembering his longtime teammate and friend.
I got here when I was 19. Brooks got here when
18,
1955. Yeah. So I think maybe he always knew what it's like to be in the big leagues at 19. And then I think when you get to the big leagues, you got to get here, you got to stay here, you got to figure out how to get better. And then you got to decide who you want to be like. And for all of us, who knew, we knew him, he was the best. So everywhere I'd go, there'd be an autograph wall, and Brooks's name would be on it.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to tell him, I said, how come you write so big? Because it was a big city. But everywhere I'd go, people would go, God, we all know he's a great player. He won 16 Gold Gloves, but we also know how special a person he was.
Cal Ripken remembered Brooks Robinson on social media, saying, "Today is an incredibly sad day for Baltimore and baseball fans everywhere. Brooks was Mr. Oriole. He was beloved and rightfully so. His historic career on the field pales to the impact he's made on so many of us. The memories we all share of Brooks will live on. My thoughts are with Connie and the Robinson family. We lost a great man, but we're so fortunate to have had him in our lives. Hall of Famer Brooks Robinson was 86 years old.